and I'm going to share my screen. Here we go. Share screen. So you can see the slides and hopefully you can see me as well. Can you just give me a thumbs up that you can see the slides? Thank you, Irene. Good job you have got your video on. It's nice to see you, by the way. So thanks everyone for joining me this evening. We may get some more joining us live, but I wanted to get started because you've been on time, you've made the effort, you're on time. So let's get going with it. So we're going to be here probably between 45 minutes and an hour, no longer than an hour this evening, probably be around 45 minutes. And there will be time for some questions if you've got questions at the end, and you can either type them in to the chat box or you can unmute yourself and ask the question if you would like to do that. So if you've got any questions that come up as we're going through it, feel free to type them in or make a note of them, and we'll make time for questions at the end. So tonight or this afternoon, depending on where you are, we're going to be talking about how to make good money consistently in your business without having those kind of crap, to be frank, kind of just enough months where it feels like you're scraping by. Even if you don't think you know the art of money manifestation, and even if you've never done it before, if you've always had those ups and downs in your income, what I'm going to be sharing with you tonight will help you to create more consistency. That's my aim for you, and that you can go away and start doing that kind of straight away, before the end of the year and certainly into next year. Okay. And that's great if you have got a notebook to make some notes. Fantastic. Let's come down to the next slide. So what I'm going to be covering this evening is the uncomfortable truth about why you've been struggling to create a consistent income in your business up until now. And I call it an uncomfortable truth because it can be quite uncomfortable looking at this stuff. We kind of have to shine a light on ourselves and what we've been doing in our businesses or what we haven't been doing in our businesses. But it's okay because, once we realize that, once we have that awareness, we can do something about it. So it's uncomfortable for a time, but we kind of have to move through that discomfort. I'm going to be talking about the 3 key ingredients you need to get out of that cycle of feast and famine. And I'm going to be giving you some simple actions that you can start making right away so you can make more money in your business this week. So, I want you to be able to go away and implement this stuff straight away. And there will be things that I'm talking about. There'll be things that I'm talking about you can actually start doing whilst we're here live on the call during the class. So I'm going to be kind of flagging up some things to you that you can bring into your awareness that will create this shift so you can start creating more consistency. And for those of you who are with me live, as a reward, you are going to receive a copy of my Abundant Income Checklist. Okay, so this is it doesn't sound very exciting, but it's like an abundance audit for your business. And basically, it's a checklist of things that you need to be doing or aware of in your business in order to create consistency. So when you stay on live until the end of this class, you will receive a copy of my checklist. I'll send that out to you tomorrow, to those of you who are here with me live. And what you'll be able to do is just go through it and you'll be able to say, yep, the things that you're doing already, fantastic. But it will highlight probably between 1 and 3 key areas where you need to do some work. And just knowing that will help you to put together a really simple action plan to start creating more consistency in your income, which is what we all want. I'm probably going to say consistency quite a lot during this class, so I hope you don't get fed up with hearing that word. So I just want you to know that you're in the right place so you can relax and kind of enjoy this kind of 45 minutes, an hour we're going to be together. So this masterclass is for you if you feel stuck in this cycle of feast and famine in your business. And that's something I hear a lot from, women in my community and clients when I start working with them, that they're really fed up with being in this cycle of feast and famine. And it feels like there's more famine than feast, which is never good. And if it feels like your income is on a roller coaster, so there's a real ups and downs, and you might have a good month and you're like, yes, I've cracked it. And then the next is, quite frankly, crap. And I use that word because, you know, it's a word that I hear from a lot of women, you know, before I start working with them, that, you know, they're really tired of having these crap income months in their business. And if it feels like you can't rely on your income, okay, which is really stressful, you know, and for many of us, and some of you may still be in this situation where you're actually in kind of paid employment when you're working for someone else and you've got that nice regular salary coming in. And I think we don't really appreciate that until we start our own businesses. And it's like, you just got, sometimes it feels like you've got no control over how much income you're creating each month. And when you haven't got that consistency and it feels like you can't rely on your income, then that can be really stressful. And that lack of consistency can make you feel like you want to give it all up and go and get a proper job. Proper job in inverted commas. And, you know, even some of those close to you may have actually made that helpful suggestion to you. You know, if you've made this kind of really brave step to start a new business and you're not seeing the consistency and you're getting stressed and frustrated with that, some of the people around us sometimes could be like, well, you know, maybe it'd be better if you went back and back to a proper job and got a 9 to 5. But if you're anything like me, you'll be completely unemployable now. So I don't think I could work for anyone else. So although I've thought that at times, you know, when I first started my business, certainly in the first 2 years of my business, you know, there were probably many times when I thought, oh, maybe I'll just go back to what I was doing before. I was working in finance. But actually the thought of it filled me with dread. So I knew that I had to make my business work. And that's how I've learned the things that I'm going to be sharing with you this evening. So let's move on to that. Who am I? For those of you who don't know me, obviously I'm Nicola Humber. Don't know quite why I put that big picture of me because you can see me anyway, but there you go. I am a money coach and a hypnotherapist and author of Heal Your Inner Good Girl, my first book that was published this year. And I am on a mission to help women in business get abundantly paid for the wonderful work that they do. Because as I've just said, you know, you've already taken that decision to start your own business, which is a really brave, it's a really courageous thing to do. It's a really bold thing to do. And I know for the women in my community, and if you're listening to this masterclass, you will have made that decision because you're so passionate about the work you do. It's almost like you just have to do it. And it's not really about the money, although the money is very important because our businesses need to be sustainable. But, you know, for the women that I work with, you know, starting their own businesses is a journey of kind of wanting to create more freedom and flexibility in their lives, you know, and share the work that they're kind of born to do with the world. But that doesn't mean you can't get paid abundantly for it. And actually, if you're in a position where you've got these real ups and downs in your income and it's really inconsistent, then it's really difficult for you to serve other people or to do your best work. So, you know, through my own experience of kind of having challenges when I started my own business, like I said, for the first couple of years, I really struggled with this kind of majorly roller coastering income. Which was really frustrating and really scary. And through doing the work that I did, you know, in the end, I had to do a lot of work on my money mindset, and I had to look at the action that I was taking to make sure that it was effective action and really make sure that I was supporting myself and getting the support I needed in my business. Through doing that, I was able to generate a consistent income. In fact, I was able to double my income within a year of kind of starting to implement the kind of things I'm going to be talking about with you this evening. And my income has continued to grow year on year since then. So that's why I'm really passionate about sharing this work now, because I know how powerful it is. And I know you've got amazing work to share with the world as well. So let's go move on. I'll just take a sip of water. So why have you been struggling to create a truly consistent income in your business so far? And I'm assuming that you have been struggling with this. Otherwise, you wouldn't have signed up for the masterclass. And it is kind of, it's an uncomfortable question. And this is the uncomfortable truth, that if you are seeing inconsistency in your income, then you are being inconsistent somewhere in your business, which, you know, it's a hard thing to hear. And it was a hard thing for me to realize when I realized that I was having all these ups and downs in my income. And you have to take that personal responsibility for the results you're creating in your business. So like I said, it can feel really uncomfortable because we kind of can't pass the buck to anyone else. We need to kind of bring that responsibility back to ourselves. But when we do that, it's really powerful, because it means it puts you in a place of power, because you can actually make a difference. And you might be saying, well, actually, Nicola, I don't agree with you, because I'm not being inconsistent in my business. I'm really working hard. You know, I'm doing everything that I feel I can. And I'm sure you are, in terms of action and kind of like working hard. But it's not always about working hard. It's about doing the right things. And if there's a bit of background noise, so for anyone who hasn't muted their microphone, if they could do that, it'd be fantastic, just for the recording. It's not too much noise, but that'd be great if you could do that. Thank you. Yeah, it's not just about working hard. In fact, very often you actually need to be kind of working less hard, but working on the right things. And there are actually 3 pillars of your business. Okay, so one of which is action. So one of which is, you know, that kind of normal day-to-day stuff that you do in your business. The second is mindset. And the third is self-care. And they are all as important as each other. So if you've got, or if you've been seeing an inconsistent income or real ups and downs in your income, it's likely that you've been neglecting one or more of these areas. And they really are each as important as the other. Okay. And people are often surprised to hear that, you know, particularly kind of something like self-care. It's like, well, actually, how can that make any difference to your business? But the truth is, if you're not looking after yourself, you can't look after your business, you can't do your best work. And kind of the energy you're putting out into the world is a depleted energy. So kind of the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And the way you are is reflected, or the way you are in your business is reflected in your income. So if you are feeling depleted, then your income will be depleted. And it really is as simple as that. So you need to make sure that you are being consistent in the action that you're taking, in your mindset work. And when I talk about mindset, it's really about looking at the beliefs that you have, these kind of stories that you have running in your mind about yourself and your ability to create money, to create wealth, and about your kind of deserving to create wealth, you know, your self-worth, how you feel about yourself. And very often we can have these unhelpful stories running that, like, oh, I'm not good enough, or no one will want to pay me for the, you know, for the work that I do, or people in my area won't pay me for that, you know, that kind of stuff. You need to be bringing that into your awareness continually, and also looking at how you feel emotionally, kind of about your business, and kind of identifying any blocks that are going on there. So I'm going to be talking more about the mindset work and ways you can work with that throughout this class. You know, that's the thing that I specialize in. But funnily enough, when I realized that, you know, after 2 years of being in my business, that I didn't seem to be making any progress and I was having all of these ups and downs, what I found is the areas that I was neglecting, ironically, were mindset and self-care. Which self-care I can kind of understand, because I was starting a business, and you know, I found that I was working more hours than I had ever done when I was in my corporate job, because I was very passionate about the work that I was sharing. And I was, you know, when you're starting a new business, it takes a lot of energy. So my self-care went by the wayside, but also my mindset work did, which is like, oh, come on, Nick. Can't believe it. It's a bit embarrassing to admit, because this is the work I do with my clients. You know, it was the work I was doing with my clients day in, day out. I wasn't doing it for myself. I was just kind of in action and just doing. So I was getting burned out, and I wasn't looking at what was going on in my inner world, which was actually being reflected in my outer world. So when I started to get all of those into balance, then I noticed a real shift in my business and my income. So like I said, if you're neglecting one of these or more, you'll be creating inconsistency in your income. It's almost like, you know, you can imagine these three pillars, you know, they're all important. If you lose one of them, then your business is going to fall over. So you just continually need to be reviewing, okay, am I taking action? Am I doing my mindset work? Am I kind of doing enough self-care? Okay. I just also want to acknowledge that there can be resistance to consistency, which is quite difficult to say. It kind of rhymes. Like I said, many of us start our businesses because we want more freedom and flexibility, and we're tired of doing the 9 to 5, you know, and having someone else tell us how we should spend our time. You know, it's what I hear from a lot of women who are running their own businesses. But that can result in kind of this attitude, and I certainly had this, that like, oh no, I like to go with the flow and I don't like to feel that I kind of need to be doing certain things at certain times. You know, I don't want to have too much structure and routine. So it can lead to a lack of consistency. And like I said, that it definitely did for me. But when I'm talking about consistency and kind of incorporating each of these 3 pillars of your business consistently, you can do it in a way that gives you freedom as well. And the very fact that there are 3 pillars, it's not just about action, 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 doing, day in, day out. You know, you've got the other 2 areas of mindset and self-care. And as women, you know, we are cyclical beings. Our energy levels kind of ebb and flow from day to day, from week to week, from month to month, and from season to season. So what you can do is kind of be in action mode and taking your consistent action when you're feeling more energized, and when you're, you know, you're in that kind of mood, I guess. I can get my words out there. Whereas you can do the mindset work when you're feeling more reflective. And like you can prioritize self-care at those times when you just kind of maybe your energy is lacking and you just want to kind of retreat and look after yourself and rest. So you can make this fit for you. The fact that you've got these 3 pillars makes it really flexible. So you still have that freedom and flexibility. And actually, you know, the thing that is going to give you the most freedom is when you've got a consistent income. Until you've got that consistent income, there's nothing freeing about your business. It can just feel draining and frustrating and stressful. So it's really important to start doing each of these 3 pillars consistently. So I just want you to think about, as you're listening to this, which one of these am I neglecting, or is it more than one? Like I said, for me, it was mindset and self-care, which is kind of ironic, but there you go. So just think about that, because that's really helpful information for you. And start thinking about how you can start incorporating whatever you're missing into your business, into your life consistently. Let's go down. So I want to talk about the 3 kind of key ingredients that you need to be aware of in order to create consistency. So the first one is your financial set point. And this, it kind of underpins everything that I'm talking about tonight. It underpins all of the work that I do around money mindset with my clients. What is your financial set point? And, you know, what do I mean by that? What your financial set point is kind of unconscious programming that controls your income level, which sounds really scary. Really does, like there's this kind of thing that's controlling your income level. But it is, it's very dependent on your past experiences. So what you experienced, usually when you were very young, when you were growing up, what you saw about money, what you heard about money, and not just about money, but about yourself and your self-worth, and whether you deserve to have abundance in your life. So what you saw and you heard and what you experienced as you were growing up will have created this financial set point. It's like a financial thermostat. Okay, because your past experiences, like I said, particularly when you were very young, when you were growing up, we have these experiences, we see things and we hear things, and it causes us to make a decision about ourselves. kind of in that moment, in that experience, we make a decision, which could be like something like, you know, it could be quite literal, like, oh, it's not possible for me to be rich. It's not possible for me to make a lot of money, or it's really hard to make a lot of money, or money is not for people like me. Or it could be more subtle, and it could be related, like I said, to your self-worth and how you feel about yourself. So, you know, a belief that I identified when I was doing some of this work was, I make people angry because, you know, I was doing some work to see, there was an area where I was feeling blocked around my business. And kind of in hypnosis, I went back to this experience, and it was an experience where my dad had got angry with me. It wasn't anything to do with money, but I created this belief, I make people angry. And that was actually impacting on me and my business and my ability to create the income that I wanted to. So it can be more subtle than just directly being related to money. But what it is, what your past experiences do, is create this financial set point. So you find you keep getting stuck at the particular level. It's like an energetic income level, you know, like a financial thermostat. And how that works in relation to an inconsistent income is, yeah, you might have a good month, you might have one month that's good, but then your financial thermostat kicks in. So the next month it has to kind of get back in line. So you will find you have a worse month next month. So you keep having this cycle of like, oh yeah, you might kind of do a bit better, but then you come back to your financial set point. So like I said, it can be directly related to how you experience money when you were growing up. And sometimes it's kind of really obvious when you look at it, but sometimes we don't see it for ourselves. So I was speaking to a woman earlier this year, and you know, she was she'd been in business a few years, but she'd never managed to get beyond 4 figures, like annual income in her business. She'd never be able to get past the 10,000 mark in her business annually, which was really surprising. She did amazing work, and she like had a really good reputation, you know, got great feedback from clients, but never managed to kind of get past 10,000. And when we were talking about it, what she realized is that was the level of income that her mum had always made when she was growing up. And it was almost, she was stuck at almost exactly the same point that her mum had been at. So she had this financial set point, and actually just bringing that into her awareness really created a shift for her. It's like, oh, you know, I can't believe it was that obvious. And actually, you know, I say there at the bottom that awareness is the first step to change, and it is. You know, when you shine a light on what your financial set point is and you get an idea of where it's come from, then it can begin to shift, and you can expand your capacity to create more abundance in your business. So that's what I wanted to ask you to do, to start that process, you know, as you're watching this, just to get a sense of what your financial set point is. And the way you can do that, and when you get your abundance income checklist, it will help you with this as well. But what you need to do, you can either look back like over the past 12 months or the past few months and take an average of that, so you get an idea of your set point for a monthly income. Or, you know, if you've been in business a bit longer, you can look back over the past 2 or 3 years and just take an average and just notice if there's a pattern there, if there seems to be this kind of energetic ceiling for your income. Very often there is, and it feels like you can't get past a certain amount. It may be that you haven't hit your financial set point yet, but a way to check out whether you've got it and whether it's impacting on you. And we will all have it in one way or another. It's just kind of whether we hit it or not. When you signed up for this masterclass, you hopefully downloaded a play sheet, and I asked you to think about the kind of income you want to create in your business. So when you think about your absolute ideal income that you would like to make, if you just say to yourself, and you might want to close your eyes to do this. And, you know, if you're muted, you can go ahead and do this as we're here, because you'll get a sense of what's coming up for you. So if you just say, I deserve to receive, and then however much it is, whatever your desired income level is for the work that I do. So maybe it's something like, I deserve to receive £10,000 a month for the work that I do. And just notice how that feels as you say it. You know, and like I said, it'll be whatever your income level, just say those words. I deserve to receive for the work that I do. Notice how you feel. Notice how true that feels for you. So you can give it a rating on a scale of 0 to 10. So 0 being, I don't believe that at all. 10 being, yeah, that feels really true for me. Just notice where you are there. And if there are any kind of doubt, and you can check in with how you feel physically as well. So if I'm unsure about something, I will always feel it in my stomach. It'll be like, oh, you know, you can check in whether you feel, wherever you feel it physically, whether it feels kind of expansive and exciting, and you feel like you're opening up as you say those words, or whether you feel constricted and uncomfortable. Okay, because that will give you a clue as to whether your desired income is above your financial set point. And very often it is, you know, unfortunately. But that's okay, because once you know, you can do something about it. And also when you say that sentence, you might want to write it down and kind of do some work around this when we finish the class, you know, when you've got some time to yourself. But as you say those words, or you could even just write them down and then just notice any doubts or fears that come to mind. So any of those yes buts. So I deserve to receive £5,000 a month for the work that I do. And then just notice any of those yes buts. Yes, but I'm not good enough to do that. Or yes, but that will be really hard work. Or yes, but people won't want to pay me that much for the work that I do. Just notice what those kind of limiting beliefs are that are bubbling up to the surface. Because again, awareness is the first step to change. So once you know what's coming up for you, you can begin to challenge it, and you can begin to kind of expand your capacity to create income in your business. It's really important to be aware of kind of roundabout where your set point is. Okay. Let's move on. If you've got any questions about that, like I said, we can talk about it at the end. Or if you're watching the recording, just send me a message or an email, because I'll be happy to talk to you some more about that. It's a really interesting one, and we could literally do the whole class on your financial set point. But I want to move on, and this ties in with your financial set point as well. You know, are your prices creating inconsistency? And what I mean by that is, are you undervaluing what you have to offer? And very often, as women in business, we are. I've certainly experienced this in the past. And what I mean by undervaluing is, you might just be aware that you're charging low prices. You know, it might be as straightforward as that, or it may be a bit more subtle. So you may be speaking to potential clients, and when it comes to the time to share your price, you kind of jump in immediately with a discount. So you say something like, well, you know, it's such and such amount for you to work with me, or my product or whatever it is such and such amount, but I can offer it to you for, and you jump in with a discount straight away before your potential client has had a chance to say yes or no, or ask any questions or anything. And again, I'm sharing that because that's something that I've done in the past, absolutely. And I know a lot of us have done that. Or it may be that when you get to the point in the conversation, maybe having a sales conversation with someone, and you know, it gets to the point where you're sharing your prices, and you just feel really uncomfortable, and it's almost like you can't get the words out, so you stumble over your words. So, you know, earlier this year I was working with a client, and she was running a number of webinars to launch a group coaching program that she was running. And what she found is, whenever she was fine during the whole of the webinar, but whenever she got to the point where she was sharing the price of her group coaching program, she had a coughing fit. And that happened, you know, more than once at exactly the same point. So she kind of realized what was going on. So we did some work together, and we, you know, did some work with hypnosis and EFT to shift that. And she was able to kind of continue running her webinars and actually had no issue sharing the price. So, you know, it was because she was undervaluing what she had to offer. She wasn't kind of aligned with the value of what she was offering, and there were some limiting beliefs going on underneath as well. So inconsistency happens, like inconsistency in your income happens when your pricing is out of alignment with your desired income. Sorry, dry throat. So what I mean by that is, say you've got a desired income of £5,000 a month, whatever it is, but you're charging, even £100 an hour for what you do. That is going to, I'm just trying to work 50 hours a week, 50 client sessions a month. So, that's going to be, it's not a huge amount in terms of hours, but actually it is when you think about all the other work that you have to do to kind of get those clients in, to find those clients, to do your marketing. And, if you're continually having to do that every month, subconsciously, you're going to be thinking, your subconscious mind is going to be thinking, actually, that feels like really hard work. So this is when self-sabotage can kick in. And like I said, it doesn't happen consciously, but subconsciously, if it feels like your desired income is going to be really, really hard to reach with your current prices, then you can end up sabotaging yourself. And this can also have a knock-on effect on your visibility, because like I said, if it feels like it's going to be really hard work, you might kind of be happy to be consistently visible for like a couple of days or a couple of weeks even, but then you'll start to feel disheartened, and it'll be like you find yourself stepping back and retreating. And also, if you're undervaluing what you have to offer, it's very difficult to be visible in the way you need to. So visibility is a key part of consistency as well, kind of being consistently visible in places where your ideal clients are spending time. So whether that's online or offline. And in order to do that, you need to feel sustained in your business. So if you've got this inconsistency going on, then it's going to have a knock-on effect on your visibility. So what I want you to do is just think about your pricing right now and to ask yourself the question, is it in alignment with your desired income, with where you want to be? And if it's not, there's some work that needs to happen there. Okay. So, I tend to find that the women that I work with, the women in my community, are certainly undercharging rather than overcharging. Okay. Because we tend to kind of undervalue what we have to offer. So the first thing I would recommend there, and again, I could do a whole masterclass on pricing, but I've got some more information that you can have access to around that, which I'll talk about in a minute. But the main thing I would recommend is to think about your product or service, whatever it is, and to take some time to kind of write down all the ways that your product or service benefits the clients that you work with. Okay, or the clients who buy your product or whatever it is that you're selling. And don't just stop at the top level benefit, think about all the ways that they benefit from what you're providing, because there will be lots, whatever you're doing. If you're watching this training, like I said, I know that what you're here to do is really important. So, the work that you do or the product that you create will be having a huge amount of benefit for your clients. So think about all of the ways it benefits, all of the ways that the work you do ripples out into their world. That helps to kind of give you a real kind of embodied sense of the value of what you're offering, so you can set more aligned prices. But if you are struggling with your pricing, I do have a free ebook which takes you through a 7-step process to set prices that feel good for you, that are aligned with your desired income and attract more of your ideal clients. So if you want a copy of that, just send me a message after the masterclass, either an email or a Facebook message, and I'll just pop it straight across to you. There's not enough time to go into it all during this class, but like I said, you can have that and you can work through it in your own time. Fantastic. It's just something to reflect on. Are your prices creating inconsistency? Are they aligned with your desired income level? And if not, where do they need to be for you to be able to create the income that you want to? Let's move on to point 3. So point 3 is support and accountability. So support is a big one, actually. And as women, we tend to be very good at giving support and giving help to other people. We're not very good at receiving it generally. We're not very good at being open to receive support, and we're not very good at asking for help. But the fact is, you can't do it alone, okay? When you're growing your business, when you're wanting to create kind of a consistent, abundant income, you can do it alone for a short amount of time, but it's not sustainable. Okay, if you look at any successful business, any even relatively small businesses, it will more than likely be more than one person. Things might start off as a one man or one woman band, but there needs to be support in place to grow that and to make it sustainable. And the fact is, you deserve to be supported. Okay, and when I'm talking about support, there's lots of different types of support that we can get in our businesses. So it might be kind of working with a coach, working with someone like me. It might be being part of a mastermind group. It might be being part of a networking group. It might be having a friend who runs their own business and you two getting together and being kind of like business buddies. It might be kind of getting some help with your admin. There's all sorts of areas where we can allow ourselves to be supported. But what I encourage you to do is to get the support for where you want to be, not for where you are right now. So what I mean by that is I like to think of your business kind of as a container. And that container, the size of that container kind of governs how much you're able to give to others. So how much you're able to give to your clients in terms of the services you provide or the products you create. And it also governs the amount of abundance, the amount of income you're able to receive into your business. So, if you're not being supported, if you're not feeling supported in your business, if you're trying to do it all on yourself, you are restricting the size of that container. Okay, so there's only so much you can do for yourself. And I found this even with the kind of mindset work that I do. That's obviously the work that I help my clients with, but I need to get support to do that for myself, because we kind of get blind to our own stuff. So, I can be carrying on quite merrily and not recognizing some of the stuff that's coming up for me. I need to work with my own coaches to help me move through that. And that helps me to expand my container so that I can, create more income in my business. So it's the same for you. You need to think, well, what do I need to do? Say you're kind of here at the moment and your desired income is here. What support do you need to put in place for you to grow your container to support that? So this has been a block for me, even this year, as I've been wanting to grow my business kind of up to 6 figures, and I know I want to grow it to multiple 6 figures over the next kind of couple of years. But when I was thinking about that at the beginning of the year, and I was kind of doing some work with my coaches about it, one of the major fears that came up for me, or one of the major doubts that came up for me was like, oh, that's just going to be such hard work, and how am I going to be able to handle it? And I won't be able to handle it, and how will I be able to manage it? Because I didn't have support in place at that time to be able, the container wasn't big enough to support that level of income and to support that kind of level of work that I wanted to do with my clients. So what I had to think about was like, okay, well, where do I want to be, and what support will I need when I get there? So I've put things in place now, which, maybe I didn't need kind of back at the beginning of the year, but they've helped me to kind of grow my container as the year's gone on. They've helped me to kind of grow my income and will continue to grow my income. So it's things like, having an amazing accountant who is really, really kind of on the ball and really supportive. Having a virtual assistant. In the past, I've kind of dipped in and out of having a virtual assistant and used one for different projects. but I've committed to getting that consistent support now. So just think about the support that you will need for your desired income level, not for where you are right now. And accountability is really important as well. So it is much easier to create momentum and take consistent action when you're accountable to someone. So again, that might be a coach, or it could be a mastermind group, or it could be like a friend who you say, right, I'm committed to doing this. And if you've got that mutual accountability, it's really, really helpful as well. It keeps you going. Because if you just tell yourself, oh, well, you know, this month I want to do this and I want to make this much money and, you know, I want to kind of take this action, it's fine normally for a couple of days, but then that kind of momentum can die out and maybe you're not seeing the results that you wanted to, and you just think, oh, well, actually, I haven't told anyone about that goal. So, you know, maybe I'll just forget it and try again next month. And you kind of go off track. Whereas when you are accountable to someone and you've shared publicly, yeah, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm going to create, it helps you to keep that consistency going, that consistent action. So I hope that makes sense. But just think about, you know, what is the support that you need to be where you want to be, and how can you make yourself accountable in some way? And like I said, you know, it may just be a friend that you make yourself accountable to. But that is really, really important. And just notice any ways where you're kind of closed off to receiving support or asking for help. I know when I started my business, and this is something I hear from a lot of other women, I had this kind of limiting belief running that I should be able to do it all on my own. And that it was a sign of weakness or failure if I had to ask for help. It's just crazy. You know, why should you feel that you have to do it all on your own? You deserve to be supported. Okay, so there's going to be time for questions, but before we move on to questions, and if you have got questions, just type them into the chat box and I should be able to see them. You know, questions about anything that I've spoken about there. So either, you know, those 3 pillars of your business, or any of the 3 kind of key ingredients that I've spoken about. So your financial set point, your pricing, and support and accountability. If you've got any questions around that, or your specific kind of situation in terms of your income and creating consistency, do type them into the chat box, and I will give you the opportunity to actually ask. If you want to unmute yourself and ask the questions, we will do that shortly. Before we do, I just want to talk a bit briefly about kind of an invitation I'm making to you to get the support that you need to create a consistent income in your business. Let me just go on to the next slide, which is the Unbound Business Mastermind. It's the mastermind group that I run. So it's a space where a small group of women come together, and I work with you to really help you get out of that cycle of feast and famine, to look at your pricing, to look at any kind of limiting beliefs that are coming up, to like create really compelling offerings in your business, to raise your visibility, to reach more of your ideal clients. You know, we work on all of those things in the mastermind group, because the fact is, when we come together, we become more. And it's much easier to generate energy and maintain consistency when you have a supportive group around you. So I know I've experienced that personally over the past 4 years. In my business, I've consistently been part of different mastermind groups. You know, some big, some small, but, you know, they've just made all the difference in my business. And I've seen it in the current round of the Unbound Business Mastermind, which is just kind of coming to an end at the moment. And the women in that group, you know, have just been so incredibly supportive of each other, and have taken massive, massive action, made massive progress in their business from kind of being part of that supportive group. So, you know, as I said, it's a small group of women that I'm bringing together. We're starting in January next year, the beginning of next year. with pre-work in December, and that pre-work is actually a one-to-one 90-minute intensive session with me. So you get that combination of one-to-one work and group work. So when we have that one-to-one intensive, what I'm able to do is help you identify anything specifically that's been holding you back in your business, and particularly in terms of your income, help you to kind of shift that and release it and overcome it. And you can also create a really clear plan of what you want to create in the first 3 months of next year. So that's something that we would do before Christmas. So it's really kind of this hands-on accountable mentorship, and obviously bring in the money mindset work that I do, but all of these other areas as well: pricing, visibility, compelling offerings, and taking that consistent, inspired action that you need to take in order to grow your business. So membership of the Unbound Business Mastermind is by application only, because I want to make sure that we get the right mix of women in the group and the right mix of businesses in the group. So there's no sales page for this, but if it's something that's calling to you, and if you're anything like me, you make decisions quite intuitively, you just feel that it's right for you. And if you're getting a kind of hit like that, what I invite you to do is just to send me a message, either by email or on Facebook, private message. Just let me know you're interested. What I will do is send some more details across to you, and then we can have a conversation, a kind of brief chat, just to check out whether it is the right next step for you. In terms of the current members, I just want to share some of their experiences, because I think it's always more powerful to hear it from people who've experienced it. So one of them is Deborah, and she says, over the years I've invested in various coaching packages and programs, but none has delivered in the way that the Unbound Business Mastermind has done. Since joining, I've experienced a powerful sense of belonging and connection. I've discovered a strong sense of direction in my business, and I no longer feel isolated and confused about what I'm doing and why, which is just wonderful to hear. And Deborah, has just taken such massive action since she's been in the mastermind group, and really got such a great sense of clarity about how she wants to move forward in her business. So she's now putting together this kind of high-level program. She's kind of much surer about her message and the way she wants to work with clients. So she's going to be able to enroll high-level clients into this program, which is really, really exciting. So very proud of what Deborah's achieved. We've got Catherine, who is apprehensive about joining the mastermind, about the investment, and also whether she'd participate. But actually, she says it's been wonderful to be part of a small group of women who are taking risks and moving forward in their businesses. And it's been fantastic to actually see and hear the progress. So Catherine's saying she highly recommends it. For anyone looking for support for some like-minded, courageous businesswomen. And I love that she uses the word courageous, because like I said, it's really brave and courageous to start your own business. And Catherine, during the mastermind, what she's done, she's run a number of in-person workshops, which she's been able to kind of get people into and actually enroll one-to-one clients from those workshops, which has just absolutely been fantastic. She's done so much work. And Jessie, who says it's been life-changing, which is lovely. And she's progressed massively and learned so much. And she's now got a viable business and can see a clear future, which is wonderful. And for Jessie, I think this experience has really been about finding her niche, the area that she really wanted to work in. And as she's done that with the help of the mastermind, she is able, she's really being able to kind of share a very specific message and attract her ideal clients much more easily. So you can see kind of the range of experiences that people have had in the mastermind. And like I said, if it's something that calls to you, if you are interested, do just send me a message, either email me or send me a private message on Facebook, and we will have a chat and I'll send you some more details. In terms of the investment for that, it's a 3-month program. The pay in full price is £1,000, but there is a monthly instalment plan as well, so I can give you details of that. So yeah, would be fantastic to explore that with you if you're interested. But I want to just open up for questions before we finish. So if anyone's got a question, I'm just going to unshare my screen. Okay. So I'm just having a look if there's anything in the chat box. So you can either type it into the chat box, or if anyone is feeling brave and they would like to unmute and ask the question, then please do go ahead. I can't see any questions in the chat. I'll just give you a couple of minutes to think about it. And if not, if you think of any questions afterwards, then do ask me afterwards. Irene, how do you attract your ideal client? That's a great question, Irene. And there are lots of different answers to that. And it very much depends on who your ideal client is. You know, the kind of things that we have spoken about this evening will help you to do it. Because when you're feeling in a good place and when you're feeling kind of consistently and abundantly rewarded in your business, it's much easier to attract your ideal clients. But in terms of kind of giving you some general pointers, one, you need to be very clear about who your ideal client is. Okay, so, you know, I'm sure if you're asking you the question, you've done some work around that. But really, yeah, I can see. Yeah, and oh, you know, ideal client work, I've kind of got a love-hate relationship with it, and all this, you know, this thing about, you know, create this kind of portrait of your ideal client, you know, her name and everything. It's okay, but it can kind of, in a way, you know, and sometimes I find myself contradicting myself, which is fine because, you know, I think we're able to hold two opposing views. So there is value in doing that and being really specific, but in a way it can be a bit limiting and it can kind of drive you mad as well. So I think, you know, you do want to think about where your ideal client is spending time and how you can kind of, you can be there and you can be kind of sharing what you do and kind of being supportive and kind of, you know, like I say, sharing content and letting people know what you have to offer. Obviously, that's really helpful. But I think the main way to attract your ideal client is really to be kind of really aligned with what you're offering. So really doing the work that you love. So it's kind of being a bit selfish, really. Just really, rather than trying to mold yourself and the work you do to fit the ideal client, do what you love and the ideal people will come to you. You know, when I started in my hypnotherapy practice, you know, just to give you a personal example about, you know, how the ideal client stuff can get in the way, you know, everyone was like, you've got to have a niche and you've got to be really specific about who you want to work with. And when I first started my hypnotherapy practice, most of the people who were coming to me were coming for help with weight loss. So I was like, oh, well, that will be my niche. That will be my ideal client then. But it wasn't what I was passionate about. You know, I enjoyed doing the work because I love working with my clients, but it didn't light me up. So, you know, I kind of created all this thing about my ideal client and what her challenges were and what, you know, I did all the work around it, but because I wasn't totally aligned with it, it just didn't work. There was a mismatch because I couldn't get excited about it. So when I shifted into doing this work that I'm really passionate about, you know, the women who come to work with me now are amazing, you know, and they're a joy to work with. And they just kind of pick up on kind of my energy and the fact that I am so kind of excited about the work that I do. And that's what attracts them to me. Does that make sense? You're nodding, so hopefully it does. But, you know, if anything else comes up for you around that, then do ask. Jade, do you have a morning ritual that you do before you start working each day to help you with self-care, mindset, and or evening ritual? Great question, Jade. Yes, I do. And again, you know, this is something, it needs to be right for you. So, you know, you might have heard stuff about morning rituals. It's like, oh, you need to kind of do meditation, and you need to yoga, and you need to do journaling, and, you know, all of these different things, but you need to make it work for you. So my morning ritual is quite fluid. I would say I go through phases where, you know, it is really consistent, and at other times I might kind of bring different stuff in. What I tend to do, I do tend to do kind of a really short meditation every morning when I first get up. And it's just literally tuning in, just taking a few breaths. I tend to kind of ask for support and guidance for the day ahead and just see what comes up to me. And I would normally light a candle and some incense in the morning, just to kind of set my space. That's all I tend to do in the morning. Also gratitude. Every morning I will write a list of 10 things that I feel grateful for and why I feel grateful for them. So it just starts my day in a place of feeling anchored and grounded and in a place of gratitude. When I'm working with clients, and actually like now, you can see, I don't know if you can see it. It's not very, no, it's in a tin, but you can't see it. I always light a candle because that kind of sets the space when I'm working with my clients. So that's kind of a ritual. It just helps me to feel focused. And at the moment, what I'm doing in terms of mindset is I'm going through a process where I'm kind of up-leveling in my business, and I'm up leveling my income. So every day I'm just kind of journaling on any fears or resistance that's coming up for me, and then doing some tapping. So I use EFT. So I do some tapping around that. So it sounds like a lot, but it's not, because it really doesn't take that long. I'm all about kind of really keeping it simple and doing things that are effective, but not that it has to take very long. And in the evening, all I do when I go to bed, actually when I'm in bed, last thing, when I've read and I've turned the light off, it sounds a bit weird, but I've got like a gratitude stone. It's just a stone that I found out on a walk one day. So I just hold that stone and I think about all the things that I've experienced during the day. And I kind of think of like the one thing that's just been really special. And I just kind of hold the stone and kind of anchor into that experience and just say thank you. Sounds a bit odd, but that's what I do. And sometimes I do fall asleep while I'm doing that, and I will find the stone in my bed in the morning. Yeah, but you know, you just want to make it personal for you. I think gratitude's really important for anything that kind of grounds you and kind of helps you to feel grounded and supported is really helpful. But ritual is really, really powerful. You know, anything that you do regularly and daily is really, really important. I was going to say something else then, but it's left me. I don't know if it's coming back. No, it's okay. It'll come back if it needs to. So has anyone else got any other questions? I don't think so. So what I'm going to do, I am just gonna see who is here live with me, because you will all get a copy of my abundant income checklist, which is fantastic. So what I will do, I will send that over to you tomorrow. It will be tomorrow now, so you can just go through and just look. It covers some of the things that we've spoken about this evening, but there are also some extra things on there where you need to be consistent, and you need to be incorporating them in your business. So it will just help you to go through and just see what it is that you're missing. Okay, so like I said, I'll send that over to you tomorrow. Oh, Merelda, I just want to say thanks. The info is helpful. Oh, thanks, Merelda. I'm glad you've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed hosting it. And thank you so much for joining me live. I really, really appreciate it. Like I said, any questions, if anything comes to you afterwards, just drop me a message and I will get back to you. And yeah, Here's to getting really well paid for the wonderful work that you do and creating a consistent, abundant income. All right, enjoy the rest of your evening, and I will catch up with you soon. Bye. Oh, Simona. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Simona, I'll send that across to you. Fantastic. Thanks, Deborah. Thanks, Irene. Oh, I'm seeing loads of messages coming through now. Brilliant. Okay. I think I've answered everything. If I haven't seen someone's question, like I said, just pop it across to me afterwards. Send me an email or a message, and I will respond to you directly there. Okay, I'm gonna hit the end button now, so you can all go and enjoy your evening. See you.